Good afternoon, I'm Richard with PlexPack. We're here at Sigma. We're going over the Emplex 6500. We're going to start from the very beginning of turning it on, making sure that our e-stop is not connected. So we turn it, pop that out. It will take a minute to boot up, but in the meantime, let me just go over some of the basics of what we call the 6000 series, which is basically the 6000 is just the head here, which has 5 inches of heating, 5 inches of cooling. When we take the 6000 and we put it on a tabletop stand, it becomes a 6140. When we have it on a machine with a stand and carrying and timing belts, it becomes a 6100. We take a 6100, we add a conveyor to it, and now becomes a 6500. Don't let any of that be confusing or throw you off. The machines are built to have components added onto them. So if you bought a 6100 today and in 6 months you wanted to add a conveyor, the holes are pre-drilled. You put your 8 screws in, mount your conveyor, plug it in the back, turn your conveyor on the PLC, which is the touch screen here. You'll hear it called PLC HMI, PLC Programmable Logical Controller, HMI Human Machine Interface. So basically fancy terms for touch screen. So the machine, again, on this one, the 6500 does have a conveyor below it. We adjust the conveyor, but we can raise it and lower it here. The seal head, the portion of the sealer itself, is adjusted by this crank assembly where we crank it and we can either go down or we can go up. On a standard machine, when I say standard, just like this, you're going to max out at about a 20-inch high bag. Depends on how well it puffs out, things like that. If you have a taller bag, we do a couple things. We can increase the height of the stand. We go up an additional 10-inch. We can do an additional 20-inch. So if you have a taller bag, our conveyors can be wider, they can be longer, they can have stronger motors on there. So say if you wanted to do a 50-pound bag, we would lower the conveyor. So again, you don't have to lift it up and down, and we would run it through the machines. This machine is pretty much our standard right to left. We do build them. So if you called in your production line needs a left to right, not a problem, we can build that. Getting back to the basics of the machine. So the bag is entered through the rails, we come in, we then go through a set of heating bars, we go through a set of cooling bars, we then exit the machine. We have Teflon belts, and what Teflon belts do, their only purpose is to keep the bag from sticking to the heater. They are not to carry the product on this machine with the timing belts. The timing belts will actually do the carrying. Rough idea, anything over a pound, getting near 2 pounds, I'd like to put a conveyor below it. So if you have a 5-pound bag of coffee, you will need a conveyor below it to support the weight of the bag itself. Changeover for your Teflon belts, which you will change sooner or later. You basically finger tight only, unscrew, again, what we are calling the timing belts. You'll also hear called carrying belts, which are these belts right here. They have little teeth on them, grab our cogs. These are the Teflon belts we were just talking about. Now to open or change your belts, you would lift up your cams, press that up, that will then spread the bars apart. So in the past, when this was hot, you'd have to try to hold it and spring load it back. Currently now with these nice cams on here that we do, you just lift it up. You would then loosen your roller, which will bring your roller back so you can change your Teflon belts. To install them, do just the opposite. Put your belts on, tighten the rollers just tight enough to rotate. You are not supporting anything here, so the belts, if you over tighten them, that will put stress on them, reducing their life. Then, once everything is there, you will just simply close the machine up, finger tight with the screws, If you feel the need to go get a big pair of channel locks or screwdriver rather, then something is wrong. Stop, realign it, then go ahead, and these should only be finger tight. Okay, so everything's good there. We would come to our touch screen. We would start, load last recipe. I do not know what that is, so we will go in and I am going to use my password. I am going to check. On a basic machine like this, we really are concerned with the speed. And right now we are running 350 inches per minute. If we want to change that, let's just say 375, enter. Now what's nice with the Emplex machines, the conveyor and the belts up in the seal head are all tied together on the speed coming through the HMI. So when you adjust here, everything is all coordinated. Okay, the other item that you would really be concerned with would be your temperature. Right now we are in Celsius. We can change this to Fahrenheit, but let's just say we want to go to, I don't know, 150 C. That's all there is to it. Now, after a few minutes, the screen will lock you out. And the reason we do that on purpose is so the lead engineering, plant manager, whoever changes a setting, walks away. We don't want operators coming in and changing anything that was already set up. So that's why we lock it out. Again, we have an easy to reach e-stop. We hit that, everything stops. We have some service information about how long, the Teflon belts, etc., things like that. We have counters on the machine. What we don't have on some of the options that we can put on this machine that it does not currently have, we can put a front end trimmer on here to cut off any excess. Our opening right now is 4 inches. So we really have 4 inches of what we call headspace above the seal that we can fit through here. If you have a larger bag, we'd want to put a trimmer here, trim it off so we can fit it into the head of our sealer. We can do inkjet printers below shooting onto the bag. We can machine into the bars and print onto the seal area. We also have embossing. Now, the difference between embossing and printing requires ink. Embossing, we are just technically embossing, which is pressing into the material. All sealed bearings, easy to change motor and motor belt. And that is pretty much, we can do, again, different size conveyors, weights. That is really pretty much our 6000 series. Again, a 6140 would be this part here on a little tabletop stand. So you could put on a workbench, a table, whatever. The 6100 is this machine without the conveyor. The 6500 is with the addition of the conveyor belt. And that is basically the 6000 series for the Emplex band sealers.